Today we're talking about eternal bliss, realizing the soul. Because whenever you realize the soul and you understand the manifold that comes from your soul, then that's when you can always be at equilibrium, whether you're in an extension of a thought or you're experiencing some type of feeling or emotion that corresponds to an internal event or an external event, aka stimulus. So whenever you understand what it is to be a soul, nothing, to be aware of nothing, the mind has to see the distinction between the nothingness and the experience of perception. Whenever you detach from perception and time tells you, well, time warns you, time makes you aware that you are now experiencing the opposite of the perception, which is nothing in expectation. You thought of an expectation. So whenever you think with expectation, this is how you get dirty within the intellect. Well, this is where you make the intellect dirty, to rephrase that properly. But understand, whenever you're on the journey to achieving eternal bliss, it's merely just about understanding. That's it. Because after you understand, there's extensions because there's sheets of ignorance around areas and aspects of the internal world, we're going to call it, that is governing your values and how you behave whenever the essence of your values, meaning your possessions that are associated with different elements of your attention, whenever these things are seen in the external realm, these things remind you of an event, and this starts to formulate your imagination. So, not to go on a tangent, but this is just to help you understand, to give you a sense of what you're experiencing whenever you're at these states and what you need to aim for so that you don't always be lost within these states and make the same mistakes because of ignorance around how you desire, meaning how you do understand different states and aspects of yourself, and then what you do with that information. It's very important. This is why I stress morality. You got to know how to behave, okay? You got to know what's actually important. So you got to get your values right when you have your, because you got to understand, look at your values as how you quantify your attention. So the things that you're showing attention and the amount of energy that you're giving to it, whether it's intense or something that you don't perceive that is worthy of that intensity, okay, this is how you're building your mind. So you got to really, 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 really take into account that whatever you're giving your energy to, as in your attention, that is what's building your mind. And that is what's going to give you your ideas and give you your type of will, the desire to do things. So, because the intellect, thought, intelligence, okay, you can know what to do, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the internal transformation. You can sit up here and say that you're going to value better things, you're going to start doing better. But dude, like, shit not gonna work if time don't tell you. Like I said, time is money. So it's about virtue. And the thing that transcends time is equilibrium. So whenever the motherfucker does happen, the event, the experience, the realization, the familiar information that I'm giving you right now, whenever you experience that within inside yourself or within your reality, whenever these things appear and the thought extend you to a figure that represents that information, well, the knowledge now, because you see that it is true. Okay, so now it's safe to say you can do what the fuck you want to do. So this is where you start to detach and you start to psychologically die from old experiences, meaning old thought forms, old paradigms, old ways of being, old perspectives. Seeing the change in perception. It's about seeing the change in perception. It's not about perverting perception. It's not about adding a new thought to anything. Because when we get into the applications of manifestation, because you got to really understand this. If you're trying to be quote unquote confident, you need to be trying to embarrass yourself, not acting confident, because you're not confident. You're not confident, but you know how to be confident, right? You need to go conquer the bodies, the perspectives, the perceptions, and the prejudice around those objects, around that particular space that gives you those thoughts and feelings in a time, right? And whenever you're in that space, because use your ego wants to go there. Your ego wants to go there. So don't fight yourself. Just go do it and understand what you're doing. Stop being shameful of yourselves with every action. Understand. If you didn't know and you're trying to do better, nigga, that is enough. That is more than enough. Your mind don't need no other attitude or anything like that. Stop beating yourself up. Stop going on guilt trips and stop allowing your mind to form some type of argument within yourself that makes you feel like you're the bad guy. If anything, just accept it. Just accept it, because this is how you break free from the stupidity of the mind. Because there is a gap, and this gap is, we're going to call it the fool. Because a big part of understanding the mind is about understanding when to be dumb. Because whenever you're aiming to be dumb, you're actually you're actually in totality being smart. So you're doing it for what? A reason. So it's about reason, guys. It's about coming to the proper conclusion so that you can start to juxtapose your values with the values of the good, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. Or if you don't believe in none of it, just the highest extent of your mind. You know, the ideal version, the ideal self, right? That being that exudes qualities that you're trying to go for, dude. Whatever you want to call it. So this is about understanding that, and it's about measuring your values whenever you take your ego to these areas of your life. And it's about understanding the attention within these particular events. Because behind these perspectives and prejudice and the perceptions is just how you're, once again, just quantifying your values, what you're showing your attention to in a mode, in a way, based on the temperature, the temperament. And the temperaments being the traits that gets produced from you applying the temperature. So the intensity, or the opposite of intensity, I don't know the word, but you got to understand this is what you're doing in a totality. Okay, so whenever you're aiming for an attribute or a trait, understand you have to try to be it. Okay, you have to want to be in the space that you are currently holding on to whenever you're trying to aim for an attribute or some type of characteristic. Meaning, if you're, once again, if you're wanting to be confident, okay, that means you're holding on onto low self-esteem traits and shit like that. So it's about understanding what those traits are, where those traits be at within the external, internal, and it's about developing a mindset to embarrass yourself. Because whenever you embarrass yourself and you realize why you were doing it, guess what you're left with? The confidence. That's all that's there. So please don't be delusional and act. Okay. It's about being dumb. Like I said, that's a big part of your mind, because the first factor of your mind is perception, then memory. But within the memory and the perception would be the wisdom. So it's in order whenever we're informed, but in the totality, the first factor is this wisdom. And in order to transcend knowledge, information, and the things that are associated with that knowledge and information, objects, faculties, facets, shit like that, you're not that. So it's about being dumb and letting go. That's what being the fool is about. So this is how we understand knowledge, bodies, mentalities, so that we can create the internal event that realizes the soul. Because before you get to the soul, the actual no thing, it's about adaptability, your intellect. Okay. Meaning you should not be holding on to no type of knowledge. The mind does not want to believe in nothing, nothing, nothing. So you got to get to that state. You have to convince your mind that there is nothing to believe in. Everything is everything, dude. And that leaves you with what? Just you, the intellect, the skill, the ability. You get me? So that's how we get to the soul, and we start to really get to eternal bliss. Because after that, it's your journey. Like, it's just, listen, I'm just showing you the water, dude. So it's gonna play out a little differently for you, but in a totality, it's gonna be within this sense. So that being said, that is how you understand, and that is how you aim, and that is how you achieve eternal bliss.